Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Micks Mowers. Got my little Riley boy here. You need a haircut, big style.
Who is?
Lockdown.
Who?
Lockdown haircut. Do you want Daddy to cut it for you?
Oh, Sarah do
You
it.
want Sarah to do it? Okay, fair enough. Today we're going to be looking at this Ransomes Marquis, the one with a sloper engine on it, because it's not quite running as it should do. The repair on the float has proven to be non-successful, but only when you connect it to the metering needle. It doesn't float with the metering needle on it, so you need to have a look at that. But trying to find spare parts for this is quite difficult. However, I've been quite successful. Actually, what have you been doing today?
We're doing cooking.
You've been doing what?
Cooking.
Cooking today, and you got some what looks like chocolate cake and bits and pieces on your t-shirt. He's been making cakes with Nana, butterfly cakes, chocolate and jam butterfly cakes, haven't you?
Yeah.
Has it been good?
Yeah.
You've enjoyed it, good. So I've been quite lucky. I've got some bits. The carburetors for these are 379121 carburetors, the Mower carburetors. They've been going on eBay. There's not many on there as it is, anywhere between sort of 50 to nearly £100 a carburetor. And I need a new float for it. And you can't buy the floats anywhere. Can't get them. Simple as that. So I found a person up in Leicestershire. He was selling a semi-complete engine, just the engine. And I emailed him up and said, would you be willing to split it? If I pay you what you want for the entire job lot, you know, the entire buy it now price, would you sell me just a carburetor, the exhaust and the tank? And he said, yeah, not a problem. I'll strip it down and post it out to you. So that is cool. It only cost me about 40 quid plus postage, which is about £6. About 45, 46 pounds, somewhere in there. So I've got, let me just find this. I've got a new tank, or no, not new, a tank. This has got the black cap, mine's got a yellow. And my tank is not in the best of condition, but it's also got this little tiny vent as well, which mine hasn't got.
Wait.
So that's cool, just a little vent. Don't drop it because very hard to come by.
It is.
But on top of that, as you've seen in my last video, I did one of my other videos, I did a fuel tap conversion. He's actually sent me the fuel tap with it. So that's the original fuel tap as well, same as what I got on mine, same number. So I can sell that onwards because they go for quite a good little penny. That will help towards the money going back into this. I've got that. I also got this, which is new, old stock, original drive cable for the Marquis. Normally when you buy these reproduction ones, you have to solder this piece on at the right length, but this is the right cable. This is actually the cable that it's manufactured with. It has been used, I think. There's a little bit of rust on it, but so I've got a drive cable, so I'm happy with that. And I've also got this little cookie, which is the 379121 Mower carburetor. Also came with the original throttle cable too, so well happy with that. Super happy. It is missing one part out of the carburetor, but I've got that in that carburetor. So between the two carburetors, I've got now one complete and hopefully working carb. And I've also got an exhaust, which says Villiers on it. Now this is a reproduction, this isn't original, which is a shame. I am watching one on eBay at the moment, which is the original, because it doesn't have this eyelid gap here. It actually has a little side chute coming out the side, which gives the Villiers that noise. So I'll be fitting that to it anyway today, just because my exhaust has got a big hole in it. So all in all, by the end of today's video, I'm hoping to have the Villiers running and running properly as it should do. And I'm hoping to also have the drive working as well. Once I can guarantee that those are all working, we can then start to strip down the process and strip it down, sand it down, all the rest of it. I've been looking at little ideas to get it powder coated, but I don't have a powder coating facility and it is quite expensive to get the powder coating done in a professional setup. The reason it's done in the professional setup is that the grass box is huge and I don't think people in my area will have an oven big enough to do it, but I will look into it. If not, it's going to be sanded down and then undercoated with some kind of a primer or whatever anti-rust treatment. And then I've also ordered from a company called Allen & Smith, I think it's called, the original Ransomes Green. I've also ordered some silver heat-treated silver paint for the engine as well, and other bits and pieces that require. I've got some red paint for the blades. But until I get the blades running properly and the drive running properly, I won't know how the blades are cutting. They may not need doing yet. There's a high possibility they do. I'll have to send it off to be reground. So that's where we are today. It's not going to be a massive video, I don't think. It's going to be a bit time consuming for me but hopefully we can get this bit done and then get the ransom working as it should do, and then we can move on to the strip down part and the paint job, which I'm really looking forward to. So if this is your first time watching Micks Mowers, hit the old subscribe button, whack the old bell and set your notifications to all. And don't forget, that will tell you that one, I've done a video, or two, I'm on my Saturday night weekly live stream. So without further ado, let's get down and dirty and let's check out this Ransomes Marquis with a sloper engine. Right, so we're around the back side of the old Marquis. First thing to do is to remove this carburetor, and there's a couple of bolts you have to take off. One to be up here, a little tiny bolt around the back here, and because there's a securing bracket which secures the carburetor onto the pull cord assembly, and then one flathead screw which is around the back, right in here, just there. That takes the carburetor off of the actual device itself. So first thing I want to do is get my toolbox nice and close. So I'm going to be using a varied of tools and bits and pieces for this project. Metric and imperial stuff, all different sizes and what have you. Nothing is straightforward. And I want to get my tool trolley just behind a tripod, if I may, without knocking you guys too much. It's better that way. I can work and put stuff away as I need it. So what we've got on there, we've got a 3/8 on there. I don't think that's 3/8 there. I don't think it is. It might be. No, it's 7/16. So 7/16 nut here. When we get in there, we'll remove the bolt that actually secures the bracket to the carburetor. And with that removed, there'll be a little spring washer there as well. No losing, no bits, Mick. And then we want a little tiny flat-headed driver to remove the retaining screw, which is around the back, which goes onto the fuel intake. Just going to loosen that off slightly. Doesn't need to come off a lot. It's a bit fiddly with the old pull cord assembly on, but I don't want to be taking it off really. That should then loosen the entire carburetor, and the carb should come off. There you go, that's how simple that is. Fuel tap is turned off. There's not a lot of fuel in here, so I can now remove this fuel hose. What I may do actually is I may just remove this bottom section. I may reuse this part on the new carburetor, because I think the new one doesn't have this sort of setup. It wants a new fibre washer, which I can put on there. It's not a problem. So that all comes off, and then I can remove this throttle assembly as well. That just unscrews. Slowly retracts out. That's it. That's that out. And that's that carburetor now removed. And the bit I need is not that bit at the oil bath, it's this bit just here. It's got a little tiny filter on it. And get it out. That's a bit of that's mine missing. You just put oil in there, okay? I've got to top out of the way. So that's that carburetor now taken off and removed. So we're happy with that. Next thing I want to do is I want to remove the exhaust, which should be a bit bigger than the 7. Oh, there they are. Let's see if that come off nice and gently. You don't want to be upsetting nothing here. No snapping of no studs. Oh, that's going to be a bit tricky. I might have to get a little tiny spanner in there. That's going to be really hard to get to. Cool, they worked that out well, didn't they? I don't know if I can get in there. I might have to figure out how we're going to do. I might have to take the pull cord assembly off to get into that. That's going to be a bit of a pickle to get right into there. Yeah, I think pull cord's got to come off, which is a shame. I didn't really want to do that. But you can't get in there, and I can't twist this round anymore, I don't think. I mean, to be fair, I could just cut it off, because it is knackered. Big hole in it just here, see. I don't really want to be putting this sort of a cutting edge to it. It's well on there. So yeah, I think pull cord off, pull cord assembly off, just so I can get a decent spanner on that. Can't quite get to where I want to get it to remove that one. So that's got to come out. That one there's got to come out, which is your stop. I've got to take the HT lead off, and I've got to take the spark plug out as well. The problem is that the fuel line is actually connected to the inside of the pull cord. That's the issue. The fuel line runs along behind the exhaust and goes around the pull cord. So I've got a 7/16, I believe, which would be underneath here. There's 2 bolts down the bottom. One there, one the other side. I think that's it. Spark plug. So remove the spark plug. I may have to remove the entire fuel hose, which would be an absolute pain in the bum to do, because it is, saying, trapped. Let's remove the HT lead wire around the front out of its housings. That's now loose, and then you can remove the pull cord. Oh no, what I can probably do is leave it round like so. As I say, the fuel line is all incorporated within the pull cord housing. I can hook that up just there, that'd be lovely. Right, we've got it moving, I think. Yeah, it goes. Access is so limited. I don't have a 7/16 open end spanner, which is what I could have done with. So I had to just use an adjustable just to crack it off. It wasn't that massively tight anyway. That's it. So that's the exhaust now off, which is cool. As you see, my exhaust has got a big hole in it. Not repairable, I don't think. You might be able to put something on there, but it's full of oil as well, where I had it sat up when it was first coming. But that's the one exhaust I need. It's got the hole in the side, not the eyelid. But anyway, it's what it is. Right, and with the old exhaust now removed, I've got this new one, as I say, which is not correct. It's got Villiers written on it. It's not correct, because it's got the eyelid on it. I want the one with the spout, but it'll do for now. So that's going to go onto there, and that fits. So this is the replacement part for this one. But as I say, it's not correct, and I don't like it. 7/16 bolt. I think these are all going to be the same size. Yeah, they are, and that would be the one there. So let's put that up into there, and just secure that one up. Just start it off. That's it. So I'll do that bolt up, and I've also got to do the nut up as well. Just have it sat there, and then there's a little tiny nut to go on the inside. A bit fiddly. You righty boy, you really, with his little fingers. You get in there. Oh, Mr. Fiddle. But as I say, I'm looking on one on eBay at the moment, which is up for bid. So if I get it, then this will be coming back off again to put the original one. And so this will be sprayed silver anyway. Oh, that's fiddly. I think that's got it. It's really difficult. I think that's got it. That's got it. Right, let me get this nut done up, and I'll come back. Okay, that's the exhaust now fitted. I'm happy with it. it won't give the same sound as the old one. I know it won't. Next thing I'll do is I'll try and remove this tank now, because this tank has been on there far too long, and this is a bit more rustier than the one I've already got. So I'm going to try and remove this tank. It's also someone who put a load of look like Hessian on the top of the tank, which replaces the little tiny cover I had, and it's not right. So whilst I can get in here now, I'm going to remove the bracketries for the tank, undo those. Let me just find my original tank. I've got a new tank. Just make sure it is absolutely bang on correct. It's going to go that way around. So one bracket in the middle and two around the sides. Yeah, it is. Yeah, okay. So it's going to be a 7/16 right here, which is, again, is going to be an absolute pig to get to. And you've got a bolt here, to remove, and that tank will then come off. So again, a bit more fiddling. The hardest part is going to be removing this bracket, this bolt here, because the access is so slim, it's not even funny. So give us 2 ticks and I'll get those undone. Okay, so having some real problems. Can't get access into here without taking the flywheel off, and I have tried taking the flywheel off and it ain't coming. There is a puller you can have. I don't have one for this. So struggling. So what I've done is I've got a 7/16 ring spanner, and I've just put the grinder to it just to take the angles off so I can get a bit of better access. And I think I'm nearly there with regards to getting the access I need. I've got 1/4 turn on it. It may need a bit more slimming down yet, but it is moving. I know it is. So hopefully we can now start to turn this little tiny bolt. It has moved. That I'm convinced of. It is a smidgen warm though, I will say that. So sometimes it's what it's about. It's about overcoming the issues with machines and bits and pieces. You know, it's not all plain sailing, especially when you're working with older stuff. And if you can't get that flywheel off, then you've got to over-adapt, you know, your tools and what have you. So this is just an old one I had. And I now think this is now starting to go. Yeah, it is. So just by taking a bit off, I can take a bit more off. Yeah, I can probably take a lot more off of that slope, to be fair. But there's no way I can get that flywheel off. I tried and tried and tried, and I don't want to damage them threads. If I damage the threads, game over. So it's not worth the risk. So for the cost of an old 7/16 spanner, which I had just knocking around in the bottom of the toolbox, there it goes. With a little bit of grinding, a little bit of adjustment to it, we now have that 7/16 bolt, which is quite a size, now spinning by hand. And what I don't want to do is drop the washer behind that flywheel. Is there a washer there? Yeah, there is. There's a washer there. I've got a little magnet somewhere. Let's try a set of forceps first, just to get a hold of it. One of my subscribers sent me a little tiny magnet, which would be absolutely perfect right now. I've got it. Just want to double check the measurement against the other 7/16 nuts we've got. Same size. Cool. So with that one now off, I can now go on the other side and just undo the others with relative ease. Okay, so you're around the other side. So 7/16 nut there to come off, same size as all the others. And there should be a nut and a bolt this side, which is already loose because I was mucking about with the tank when I did the fuel lines the other day. That's now off. That's a slightly larger bolt, that one. Cool. And there goes the fuel tank. So fuel tank is now off, which is nice. Not seen that fuel tank off since I've had the machine. Let me, in fact, I can snip that bit of wire there. So this one here is the tank I'm keeping. Oh, that's right on there, that is. Nope, might be in a vice job. Drop it in a vice. And we'll have a little twist on it in the vice. Let's not put anything at risk here. So put that in a vice. Like so. And try and twist the tank. Coming out. No point taking any risks. Just make sure you do it right. You know, you gotta really try. Threads look good on that, so that's saved. And that tap there, I can keep and overhaul and sell that one on. That's the original. You see, it's got numbers on there. So that's the original for this machine. Overhaul, sell it on. Let's get the other one out. The other tank here now, and listen, there's a little bit of something in there. So I'll do a tank swill just to see what's actually in there. Try and get the bulk of whatever is in there. Bits of metal and all sorts. So let me give it a tank swill and I'll come back once I've got the stuff out of there. Right, all out. Nice swill. This tank is in better condition than the other one. So all we've got to do now is just slide this reconditioned tap, although it is original, up into the hole and try and nick that up. Hopefully the threads are good. It's got a fibre washer on the top. The threads are not running as well as I would like. It will go. It might be a vice job. Turn it around that way and just gently pinch that out. We'll do just another 1.5 turn if I can get it without splitting anything. There, that's where it was on the other one. So now that's all in. I'll do a leak test to make sure it's got it, and then that'd be good to go. And there's now fuel in this tank and no leaks, so that's it. Mustn't forget to put the little tiny cap back on, which I now have. I've got a much better tank. It's been in much better condition as well. A few marks here and there, but I can sell the other tank on. I'm going to just bathe that in Coke, I think, or something like that. Just try and get some of the rust out of it. But that's that one now fully done. Okay, fuel tank's now back on as it should be, and we're now going to move on to the carburetor. So I've got my new second-hand carburetor. I'm just going to disconnect the throttle control. Just so it gives me a bit more leeway. Take that out. I was slightly concerned that that throttle control wasn't actually moving when I first got it. It may be because it's too tight here. It doesn't seem to be doing a lot in a minute. Oh, it goes nice. It is moving. It is moving. Might want a little bit of love, but we should see. I should fit the old one to it for now. So this pretty much will go straight on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this end. If there's enough slack in the pipe, there should be. Remove this end, or do I? No, let's leave it on. Let's not muck with it. Let's take this off of here very gently. Take that off. That should just pop off of there, he says. With bated breath, there you go, it comes off. And then I can put that one straight on. And then nut and fibre washer goes onto there. And just have it on loose just for now. So I need to redirect the hose, you see. That then should go onto there. I need a flat-headed driver just to release pressure on this screw, just here. That's it. And then that should then slide onto there quite happily. It might want a little bit of oil. A little bit of the old 3-in-1, just to help it. Quite, so that's a much tighter fit than my old one. There it goes. Well, that's all the way on, nice and straight. And we'll now nick up that little screw, which is easy now that pull cord assembly is not in the way. Not too tight, just got to be on just to hold it, that's all. So now I just want to make sure I've got enough slack in my fuel lead to stay away from the exhaust. There is a hole there provided for a little bracket around the back to try and keep it, but you want to try and have it at that sort of angle like that. We can now slide in this throttle assembly, which will have a groove for that little groove just there. There's a little tiny notch down in here, a little brass pin, you see it, and you'll know when you've got it because it locks into place. It's going to be about there somewhere. There it goes. And we're going to put that on. Now I know that this throttle cable does work. The other one is original, I think, but it may just need a bit of love. Well, that's working on that throttle cable there. I can now bring in my little tiny oil bath piece that goes into there, which is a bit I was missing. That just sits down into there, and then that piece then just sits in between the two and sits on. Right, so now I'm going to put a bit of fuel into here, because now I want to test to see that the tap is working, which is shut off at the moment, and 2, that this carburetor doesn't flood, which is what it was doing earlier. So let's put a bit of nice stuff in there. What I'm also going to do, I'm going to put an inline filter as well. It's got like a gauge, like a gauze to it, not a proper filter. As Steve from Steve's Small Engine Saloon pointed out just the other day, they're not proper filters, they're just like an inline screen. I'm trying to find the top to my petrol cap, my petrol bottle, but I can't find that at the moment either. Oh yeah, don't like having naked fumes knocking about the place. So we can now nick this one up. Right, now I'm going to move on to the cable. I have just removed the cable off the top end. It's the same as a bike, okay? No different to how a bike cable comes apart. Very simple. Remove the cable. Now I've had to cut mine because mine was absolutely C-solid, and just undo the nuts and bolts this end just here. That's all you have to do, okay? Once that's off, you then have to come round to the clutch plate because you need to put in the back side of the cable. Let me find my new cable, wherever it may be. So the new cable, this is the end that goes up beneath the handle, so it's just like a bike cable. That's very simple. I'll show you how to fit that later on. But this one, this sits inside this back plate, okay? Now you can't access it from this side. So you've got to access it from this side, okay? Which means removing the clutch plate itself. You get an impact with a 11/16 on there. And just start to take the bolts out. One. Oop. 2. 3. That stud didn't come out on that one, so I'll leave that be for now. I might have to drop the chain. Off comes the old clutch plate itself. The grease nipple there. And this will slide off, but I want to try and just take the chain off as I go, rather than having to split the chain. You can split the chain, there's a link in the chain to split them. How far it'll come off, yeah, let me. Yeah. I'll take the old clutch plate off. That's like so. And you've got a little tiny bolt or something here, tiny pin here that comes on out as well. Okay, with this far so far, I have been asking a bit of help for this because I'm not familiar with this, so I'm not taking all the credit. Some of the people in the Vintage Lawnmower Club have been helping me out. You're now left with this bit here, which is a left-hand normal thread, so clockwise to do it up, and clockwise to take it off. I couldn't get it to move. What I've been using is I've been using an angle grinder spanner in there, whacking at the hammer, not working. So what I've done was I put a flat punch, put it into there at an angle, and give it a bit of help with Mr. Ballpin. And it's now loose. Once you shocked it a few times, it starts to move. You can then transfer over to this angle grinder spanner, and that works quite well. Okay, and then undo that. That comes undone, like so. As I say, I'm not taking no credit for all of this because this isn't all me. This is other people help me out as well. That then comes apart. I think it's got the drive chain hooked up, which is on this cog. You might have to split the chain first before you can remove it. I don't think there's enough slack in there to remove it. I don't know. Don't think there is. Don't think we can take that chain off without splitting it. So we might have to split this chain, which is no biggie. We can do that. So that needs to come off. I'll give it all in one go, you see. I don't think it'll come. No, it won't. Not in one go. I can now see that the back part of this exposed assembly. So you need to now find the link. Let's put it all back together so we don't lose no bits. Now to find the link on the chain, which that could be it there, like so. Get a small punch. Small punch, and we can now just push that chain all the way out as far as it'll go, and now that chain should, by rights, be separated. A bit more fiddling, a bit of mucking about to get it to come out. You get the drift, right? I might have to rotate the chain up, back this way. There it goes. I'll keep all that together. I'm not sure on the rotation on how this will come apart. So get hold of your link. I'm trying to do it with one hand here. There's your link. Okay, so don't lose that. Push all that back together. It's not coming out yet until I'm ready for it. That's it. Now we can slide all this out together, and out comes a chain and the cog all together. You keep it all together as best you can. It's got a washer in there, a brass bearing or sleeve, and that all comes out together. Okay, I might even release this video as a separate video just on how to do a brake cable, the cable, just so it won't be quite so long. So don't be surprised if you see this video coming out as a separate entity. So now, if we look around the other side, let me clean my hands and I'll show you what I'm on about. Now that that's all been loosened up, we can now see that this has now started to come apart. It lives in its home just there. Sorry, there, that's where it lives. Okay, and then now it's loosened up, you can now take this little assembly. That should give me everything I need. I don't know if there's a keyway in there, I'm not quite sure yet, I'll find out. Here it comes. A bit fiddly. There's no keyway in there, and now you can punch this little cable piece out. There it goes. That now comes out. Okay. Disregard that, and now with a new cable, which is over here, I think, amongst all the other bits and pieces. can now fit the new cable into its new home. Unthread that back. And that now sits into its new home just like so. Okay, do that up so it don't go nowhere. So it's retained. You don't now want this moving anywhere. And then you can now reinsert that, and then I will try and record the putting back together just for your own convenience, because there's not many videos on this. I've had to ask for help myself, so let me get this secured and then we'll start to put it back. Okay, now it's been secured in place. In fact, that can't go nowhere there. We're going to fit this back in. Simply slide it into its place. Slides all the way down. Move rid of that cable out of the way. That's it. And then it's just got to sit back in its original housing, which is going to be about there. It's a bit proud. I might just sand a little tiny bit off of that there. See that there? It's not quite flush. See that? I can just put a flat file to that just to knock that back so that's completely flush. Let me do it. I'll be back in 2 ticks. Okay, so looking at reassembly now. So as you can see, I've just put the back plate back in, and this is actually a form of an adjuster by the looks of it, because this little bolt here, that's a keeper, and then that will give you some sliding, and this will centralise it. Okay, so that goes on first. Now it is a keyway, but a keyway is built in. There's a key slot. That then goes onto there. Okay, like so. You then got this plate, which is your gearing cog. That goes over the top of all of that. Okay, and then this washer has got a little tiny key on it, and there's your keyway, so that all goes into there like so. Okay, so that's now all in position. We can now drop the drive chain. Now this is all coming apart again for when I redo it, remember, so I'm not too worried about the grease and what have you, but I want to have it so that when I put my chain back on, my cogs, my chain's going to be at one end. Let's try and fit that in there if I can. There it goes. And let's now bring my chain forward, touch, where's the end of it? There it is. I want my chain to be a bit further around than that. I want my end to be about there. Because when you put it back together, you want to be able to access the back of the chain to put your link back in. So that all goes onto the cogs. Be about there. That then drops down, and then it gives you enough room then to put your link back into the chain. So now that all goes into there. We've got a little tiny plate to put on, which will hold it all into position. That's got to go on. I've got this little tiny bung that goes in there as well. As this does that, that'll just push in into position. He says. That should go in further than that. I might have to do that up first. Where's me spanner? Now I've got that plate in place. Don't want too much tension on that chain, but you've got to have enough. I've got to do that up tight yet, but now I've got a bit of tension on that chain, which is correct, and the back plate is now secure, so that should push in, clean some of that stuff off. A lot of grease and stuff on there. I'm using all copper slip on this as well when I go to put it back in. That now goes into place, and that's for your drive on the other side. So I may have to disconnect that drive, so that goes in. Let me just slacken that off. See how that pin pops back out. Push it in and see that. That's my drive cable doing that. So I'll slacken some of that drive cable off because we'll have to adjust this yet to make sure that we have the correct amount of adjustment on the cable. My hands are so greasy. I don't think that's a million miles away. But my hands are too greasy to do anything. Where's my 8mm gone? There it is. Let me just take the slack out off of this cable. You can tension it when we get to the other side. I'll get all this bit in first. All I'm doing is just releasing the tension off the cable off the far side. It can't come out now because it's bolted back. That now goes all the way in as it should. And when you activate the drive, that comes out. You see that? Yeah. So that's now in place. I've got to finish tightening this up best I can. I don't think it's got to be on there massively tight, but yeah, it's got to be on there. It's got to be on there relatively tight. It was on there tight when I tried to undo it. But do you know what? I think as long as it's on there, it'll be all right. So it ain't going nowhere. It's got to come apart anyway to be redone. That's all on. It's about as loose as it was beforehand. So happy with that. We've now got the clutch plate to go on. Greasy side goes into there. Non-greasy side goes into the other side. So that goes on. Happy with that. We've got a chain to put on there. I'll do that now. This one I didn't split, did I? Pardon me, but it always pays to have the link facing outside, just for future reference. Let's try and find the link. There it is, just there. So now we're going to pop that onto the cog, that onto the bottom cog, and we're going to try to fit all this onto one go. It may not let me, I may have to split it. So yeah, let me split it just through here. Same as last time, just get a little screwdriver and split that one up. We're nearly there. So take a bit of jiggery pokery just to try and get it on, but you get the gist. So just give me a second just to work this all out. It's trying to get the cogs to all line up exactly right, and eventually it will just literally bite into place. It's so close it's not even funny. So once I get that chain back on, I'll come back to you, but we're nearly there. It's just I can't do it and explain it at the same time. It's just a bit fiddly, but it is literally, it's literally there. It's not even funny. Okay, so what I had to do is slacken this off again one more time, and just try and wiggle it out a bit, and then manage just to get the chain in. Okay, but what you got to do once you get that done, this is still loose. Okay, once that's all done, you've then got to adjust your chains up a touch. So lift it up a touch with this pulley, and that will put tension on your drive chain down the bottom. So that's not too bad slack wise on the top, but I've got a bit more tension on my drive pulley now, and then you can then do that up to about the right sort of where it needs to be. Once it's nicked up, it won't go nowhere, it won't slacken off. So you've got a nice bit of tension on there, not too much tension, just a nice little bit, and a nice bit of tension on your drive chain as well. So that's roughly where we want it. So now, without smashing my knuckles, we can now do that up. A bit more there. If I can get it without smashing my old arms. So it's not the right tool for this, but it's done pretty well, to be fair. About there. So good tension on that chain, and good tension on my drive chain as well. So happy with that. So now we can start to reassemble. now we can put the clutch plate back on, and there's a spot for your grease nipple, so that's no difficulty. That goes on like so, and then all you got to do is just put in your springs in. That's it, and you're home and dry. Well, home and dry-ish anyway. So just nick that one up. You got one without because the stud came out with it, which is that one. That goes on. You've got your spring, and then you've got this one here as well. That just sits into there, right? Slide him in. It goes all the way in, like so. Once it's in, push it all the way forward, hook it back, and that's now in place. Okay, that's all in. So when you engage it now, you get full tension on that drive, and the cable is no longer slack. So I'm hoping that's going to be about right. You need to find out. Obviously down here, let me show you. So now down here, that's the drive is now operational, I think, and I can take the drive off, and the clutch plate goes back inside. So you see the clutch plate is now springing as it should do, and the arm's all working. I can lock the drive off, and that's the drive now engaged. That's the theory. Just got to lock this little tiny 8mm nut off to secure it. I don't want to go too mad because I might have to come back and adjust it again in a bit, but hopefully we're going to be about there. So I'm going to put the side cover on and have a bit of a tidy up, and then we're going to go outside and we're going to try and see if we have got this this drive now working on this machine. So I'm going to have to tip it backwards slightly if the drive kicks in, because the front roller is no good. It's nearly non-existent, so it'll be digging into the ground. Let's just see if it'll fire up number one because of a carburetor, and let's see if the drive will work and all that sort of good stuff. Okay, so it runs. It's running a little bit too fast for my liking for tick over, so that's not been adjusted yet. There you go. It's all running. It's running a bit too fast at the moment, but the drive will work.
There you go, it's a bit better. I hate that ringing noise. I have to sort that out. So there you go. Ransomes Marquis with a sloper engine, now fully running and fully operational. Well chuffed.
Okay, so that's now the Ransomes Marquis with a sloper engine. Now all running as it should, all driving as it should. I have tried cutting the grass with it as well, it does, but I've only got half a roller, so very difficult. So super happy with that. I'm going to break that video down. I'll do one complete video and then I'll release another video which will be just for drive cable alone, because some people may not want to watch the entire video, just want to know how to do the drive cable. So I'll break it into two parts. So if you see two videos come out, one will be the other video inside it, so you know what's going on. So that's that. I've just ordered some new rollers for it. Got them for £48 for a set of oak rollers. That's now been paid for, on its way. Paint's on its way. So looking forward to all of that. So now starts the biggest job, and that's for strip down. As I say, I'm not fully educated in this at all. I'm learning as I go, and hopefully I can get through it. With a bit of luck, I can have the tank off, the pull cord off, the side plate, all that stuff, the handlebars all off, so just left with the chassis and the roll and what have you. Then I can start to break it down from there. But I have to label it as I go. It's going to be quite a slow process, because this engine is going to be sanded right back to bare bones, then treated with rust treatment, built up in primers, and then sprayed with enamel paint and what have you that I've got coming. So hopefully by the end of it, it will look pucker. The only downside is I have ordered some paint just here. I've ordered two lots. This is a silver matte heat treated paint I want to do the engine with. But I've tried it on one of the another Honda engine I've got outside, and it looks just a little bit glittery for my liking. I want something a little bit duller. So I've ordered some other paint. I've got a sneaky feeling it's the same stuff. We shall see, but I'll try and error some stuff. If any of you guys and girls know of some good matte, although this is matte, silver matte, it's come out too sparkly. It may wear off as it dries, but I don't think it's going to. So let us know if you know of any good engine paint that I can spray on there. And so yeah, that's that. Good. I'm actually super impressed, really chuffed. I've got spare bits and pieces now for the engine as well, and I might have a deal with Pete Froud about a grass box. My grass box is not brilliant, so that's coming. So super happy. No fuel leaks, all running exactly as it should do. Bomb. Give us a thumbs up, show your appreciation towards the channel. If it's your first time in watching Micks Mowers, hit the old subscribe button, whack the old bell, and set notifications to all. That way you'll be told one done a video or two on my Saturday night weekly live stream. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Micks Mowers very, very soon. But until then, people, don't forget, more importantly, take it easy.